A shadow of pure destruction swept across the heartland in 2021, leaving panic and disbelief in its wake. The tri-state tornado tore through towns with an unrelenting hunger, swallowing homes, schools, and lives as if they were nothing. The sky blackened to an unnatural shade, lightning flashing like angry eyes, watching the chaos unfold. Winds screamed like tortured spirits, tearing rooftops apart and flinging debris like deadly missiles across open fields. Streets vanished beneath rivers of shattered wood and twisted metal, leaving residents trapped in a living nightmare. Sirens blared, but they were mere whispers against the roar of the storm, as families clung to hope that was slipping like sand through their fingers. Trees were uprooted, vehicles tossed aside like toys, and the very ground seemed to quake in terror. The tri-state tornado was not just a storm, it was darkness incarnate, a harbinger of devastation that carved its name into history with fear and fire. This is the story of a storm that turned a quiet December night into one of the deadliest natural disasters of the 21st century. The storm brewing. The tri-state tornado of 2021 did not simply appear out of nowhere. Its roots were in the atmosphere, where the perfect conditions for destruction were aligning. The weather across the Midwest was unusual for December. Warm, moist air surged north from the Gulf of Mexico. At the same time, a powerful jet stream pushed cold, dry air down from the plains. When these opposing forces collided, the result was a volatile mix primed for severe thunderstorms. Meteorologists watched as a line of storms began to develop across Arkansas late in the afternoon of December 10th, 2021. Radar images showed intense rotation in the clouds, a sign of supercell thunderstorms, giant storm systems capable of spawning the most dangerous tornadoes on Earth. Warnings were issued, but no one could predict just how violent this storm would become. At around 8:30 p.m., the first tornado touched down near Monette, Arkansas. It ripped through a nursing home, tearing apart walls and trapping residents inside. Rescue crews rushed to pull survivors from the rubble, unaware that this was only the beginning of a nightmarish chain of events. The supercell thunderstorm moved northeast, growing stronger by the minute. By the time it crossed into Missouri, it had transformed into a deadly, long-track tornado. Its winds reached unimaginable speeds, and its path of destruction stretched for hundreds of miles. Communities that had stood for generations were about to be tested by nature's fury. The monster takes shape. As the tornado crossed into Missouri, it gained strength rapidly. Storm chasers and meteorologists watching the radar could see the telltale signs: a debris ball, a massive area of rotation, and wind speeds that suggested an EF4 or EF5 intensity. This was no ordinary tornado. The storm's path was merciless. Town after town fell before it. Houses were ripped from their foundations. Factories were shredded into twisted metal. Vehicles were tossed like toys. For mile after mile, the tornado cut a swath of destruction up to a mile wide. In the town of Mayfield, Kentucky, the tornado would find its most infamous target. Mayfield was a community known for its resilience, a town where neighbors knew one another and traditions ran deep. But on that night, as the tornado approached, Mayfield became the epicenter of tragedy. Inside a candle factory, more than 100 workers were struggling to finish holiday orders. They had been told to stay inside, believing the building would be safe. But when the storm struck, the factory collapsed. Walls crumbled, the roof caved in, and machinery fell like weapons from above. Dozens were killed instantly. Others were trapped beneath tons of concrete and steel. Rescue workers fought through the night to pull survivors from the wreckage. The images of Mayfield would soon spread across the world. Entire neighborhoods flattened, streets lined with debris, lives shattered in minutes. Survivors' voices. Every tornado is a story of survivors as much as it is a story of loss. The tri-state tornado of 2021 was no different. In Mayfield, In Dawson Springs, in Bowling Green, ordinary people faced extraordinary choices as the storm bore down on them. One family huddled in their basement as the walls shook and windows shattered. The father clutched his children, whispering prayers as the roar of the tornado grew louder, like a freight train passing overhead. When it was over, the house was gone, but the family crawled out of the rubble alive. In another town, a grandmother shielded her granddaughter with her own body as the roof tore away. They were both injured, but they survived. Later, she would say, "The storm took everything we had, but it didn't take us." Survivors spoke of a darkness so complete it felt like the night itself had swallowed them whole. The sound of the tornado was deafening, a mix of screaming wind, splintering wood, and shattering glass, and then silence. An eerie silence that left only the cries for help echoing through the ruins. These voices remind us that behind every statistic, there are real human beings, lives forever changed in an instant. The science of destruction. To understand the tri-state tornado of 2021, we must turn to science. Tornadoes form when warm, moist air collides with cold, dry air, creating instability in the atmosphere. Add strong wind shear, winds changing direction and speed with height, and a thunderstorm can begin to rotate. This rotating storm, known as a supercell, is the breeding ground for violent tornadoes. The 2021 outbreak was unusual because of its timing. Tornadoes are more common in spring, but this storm struck in December. Scientists believe climate change may be playing a role, shifting severe weather seasons and making events like this more frequent. Radar data showed that the tornado maintained continuous ground contact for more than 165 miles, making it one of the longest track tornadoes in U.S. history. Wind speeds were estimated at over 190 miles per hour, strong enough to level well-built homes and reduce entire neighborhoods to rubble. Meteorologists struggled to warn communities in time. Despite advances in technology, the sheer power and speed of the storm overwhelmed early warning systems. Many had only minutes to find shelter. The aftermath. When the winds finally died down, the true scale of the disaster became clear. The tri-state tornado of 2021 killed more than 80 people across 3 states, with hundreds more injured. Thousands of homes were destroyed. Entire towns were left unrecognizable. In Mayfield, the candle factory was reduced to ruins. Families searched desperately for loved ones. Churches, schools, and community centers became shelters for the displaced. Volunteers poured in from across the country, bringing food, clothing, and hope. The National Guard was deployed to assist with search and rescue efforts. Dogs sniffed through the rubble, searching for survivors. Power lines were down for miles. Roads were blocked with debris. For many, it felt like the end of the world. But amid the devastation, stories of resilience emerged. Communities came together, strangers helping strangers, proving that even in the darkest of storms, the human spirit endures. Lessons learned. The tri-state tornado of 2021 left behind lessons that cannot be ignored. It showed the importance of early warning systems, of safe shelters in factories and public buildings, and of better disaster preparedness in vulnerable areas. It also highlighted the growing risks of severe weather in a changing climate. As storms grow more unpredictable, communities must adapt, building stronger homes and creating more effective emergency plans. Above all, it reminded us of our shared humanity. In moments of disaster, it is compassion, courage, and unity that see us through the storm of darkness. The tri-state tornado of 2021 was more than a meteorological event. It was a storm of darkness, a force of nature that tested the strength of communities and the resilience of the human spirit. For those who lived through it, the memory will never fade. The sound of the wind, the sight of everything familiar reduced to rubble, the loss of loved ones, and yet also the kindness of strangers, the courage of neighbors, and the determination to rebuild. This was a night when the sky turned black and the land was torn apart. But from the darkness came stories of light, of survival, of hope, of renewal. A night that felt endless. For those in the direct path of the tri-state tornado of 2021, the night of December 10th seemed endless. The storm roared through town after town, and each minute felt like a lifetime. Families who survived described it as a battle with time itself. Every second a desperate attempt to hang on until the winds passed. In Dawson Springs, Kentucky, a community nearly wiped off the map, survivors recalled the terrifying moments as their homes disintegrated around them. One woman described how she and her children ran into their bathroom, the only room without windows, and clutched a mattress over their heads. When they emerged, the house was gone, the walls reduced to rubble, but the small bathroom had somehow remained intact. The tiny space had saved their lives. Elsewhere, in Bowling Green, entire neighborhoods were erased in mere seconds. Cars were hurled blocks away, landing upside down or twisted beyond recognition. Survivors later said the storm didn't just take away possessions, it stole entire memories, family photos, heirlooms, and the physical anchors of generations. It was as if history itself had been swept away. Inside the Mayfield Candle Factory, perhaps no single location came to symbolize the tri-state tornado of 2021 more than the Mayfield Consumer Products Candle Factory. At the time the tornado struck, over 100 workers were inside, racing to complete holiday orders. Many of them were parents trying to provide for their families before Christmas. When warnings came, some employees asked to leave. Others believed the thick concrete walls of the factory would shield them from harm. But at 9:30 p.m., the tornado reached Mayfield, and the factory became ground zero for devastation. The storm collapsed the roof and walls in seconds. Machinery weighing thousands of pounds fell onto workers. Some were crushed instantly, while others found themselves trapped in pockets of space beneath twisted steel beams. Survivors described the horror. One man recounted how he lay, pinned under rubble, unable to move, listening to the cries of co-workers who would not make it out alive. Another woman remembered using her cell phone flashlight to search for an escape route through the darkness, crawling over debris as aftershocks of wind rattled the ruins around her. Rescue teams worked tirelessly through the night. They pulled survivors out one by one, sometimes after hours of digging. But despite their efforts, the Candle Factory tragedy became one of the deadliest single events of the tornado outbreak. The first 24 hours. The first day after the tornado was a blur of chaos, grief, and desperate rescue efforts. Across Arkansas, Missouri, and Kentucky, emergency crews raced against time to locate survivors trapped under debris. Helicopters circled overhead, shining searchlights onto shattered towns. Firefighters and volunteers dug with bare hands, listening for faint cries. In Mayfield, rescuers used chainsaws to cut through collapsed beams at the candle factory. In Dawson Springs, neighbors pulled children from the wreckage of homes. Hospitals across the region were overwhelmed. Emergency rooms filled with patients suffering from broken bones, head injuries, and hypothermia. Blood shortages quickly became critical, prompting urgent donation drives. Amid the devastation, acts of kindness multiplied. Churches opened their doors as shelters. Volunteers set up food stations. Strangers comforted the grieving, offering blankets and words of hope. But for many, the losses were irreplaceable. One family searched through the wreckage of their home for a wedding ring. Another found their family Bible, pages soaked with rain, but intact. These small discoveries became symbols of survival and resilience. As we close the story of the tri-state tornado of 2021, let us honor those who were lost and those who survived. Let us remember the lessons learned, and let us commit ourselves to building stronger, safer communities for the future. Natural disasters remind us of our fragility, but also of our strength. We cannot control the storms, but we can control how we prepare, how we respond, and how we care for one another in the aftermath. If this story moved you, take action. Support disaster relief organizations. Help your community prepare for emergencies. And never forget the power of nature or the resilience of the human spirit. If you liked the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe channel for such terrifying breakouts coverage